So Joshua Buatsi beats Dan Azeez via 12-round unanimous decision to become British and Commonwealth light heavyweight champion. In case you haven't seen this fight, I recommend you check it out. It's on the Sky Sports Boxing YouTube channel. And yeah, it is a good fight. I'm not going to say it's like a thriller in Manila type fight or a fight of the year contender, but very good, competitive, engaging fight. So yeah, check it out. Um, let's start off with the result. Joshua Buatsi winning by unanimous decision. I have no issue with. Anyone who saw my pre-fight video knows I was picking Buatsi, although I did pick him by stoppage. I cast my net fairly wide because I felt that Buatsi would either win early or win in the later rounds by stoppage. I just felt that there was the potential he could catch Dan Azeez cold, maybe in a trade early, maybe in the first couple of rounds. But then if Dan Azeez was able to get out, maybe he could get himself into the fight, kind of be competitive in the middle rounds, but then might get caught out later rounds 7, 8, 9, something like that. However, Dan Azeez not only went the distance, but as I say, was very competitive. This fight, the impression I got was that Joshua Buatsi was the clear and deserved winner. However, Dan Azeez was very much a live dog in this fight, and he had plenty of his own success. Personally, I just felt that Buatsi really just had more. I know it always comes down to that, but the difference in quality for me, it wasn't that different. You know, these two were very closely matched. But Joshua Buatsi was just a bit more active, picked up a few more rounds, landed a few more punches, and it paid dividends over the course of the fight. The things that really stood out to me were the exchanges in particular. This was a fight that looking back, I watched the fight this morning, very few clinches. I can't even think about how many clinches there were because there were just so few. It was a very clean fight, very very clean exchanges, particularly up close, and that's where a lot of the action took place. Both guys putting their offense and their defense to the test. I want to say that as an overview, Buatsi's offense was better, had a bit more success, a bit more consistency of his offense. However, the defense, I want to say I was more impressed by Dan Azeez's defense. I think, as I pointed out in the pre-fight video, Joshua Buatsi just doesn't, he's not a very defensively minded fighter. He is quite a bit more invested in his offense, and it shows because, you know, his offense compared to Dan Azeez is a bit more accurate. The trajectory of his punch is a bit tighter, and I feel like that did pay off. Even though Dan Azeez, he's a bit more defensively responsible for the most part, whereby, you know, he slips, he rolls, he makes himself quite a small target, and he has a good amount of success getting under the shots of fighters, particularly that are taller than him. And despite being a relatively short light heavyweight, Dan Azeez has those long arms. I want to say that his reach and potentially his arm length, probably longer, probably greater than that of Joshua Buatsi, and we could see the success that Dan Azeez was having with the jab. And I can't help but feel that Dan Azeez is going to look back and he's going to see the success he had with the jab, and he's going to think, if he would have made that a boring fight where he stayed away, used that defense, kept a bit more distance, and was a bit more invested in the jab a bit more, maybe he would have been in with a shot of winning, because his jab, I want to say, was better than Joshua Buatsi's, and I think that's come from the fights that Dan Azeez has had where he's in against taller guys. You know, he took on Shakan Pitters, who's 6'6" at light heavy, and it's guys like that who Dan Azeez has been fighting. So he's had to hone that long range jab and really get the most out of that reach and the arm length that he's got. But and not to say that this is entirely his fault, because in between rounds, Buddy McGirt was encouraging Dan Azeez to basically get stuck in and try and stick it on Joshua Buatsi, particularly towards the end of the fight where you could see that Dan Azeez was trailing behind. But yeah, there were large stretches where Dan Azeez was going toe-to-toe with Joshua Buatsi in the centre of the ring. And it wasn't like a suicide mission or anything like that. He had his own success, but I just felt that he was playing into Joshua Buatsi's hands, because we know Buatsi, quite offensively minded, really likes to go for it on the inside. And, if Dan Azeez landed 1 or 2 shots, Buatsi was landing 3, 4, maybe even more. But then at long range, Dan Azeez was able to pop out that jab. He knows how to mess with the rhythm, mess with the timing of it. And he was knocking back Joshua Buatsi's head at times. So, yeah, the right man definitely won. But I think Dan Azeez might watch it back and think, if I just changed up my tactics, maybe I could have got the W. Who knows? But very good fight. I feel like both guys showed, high caliber boxing. They both did themselves proud, because I've spoken about before how I've never really been that impressed by Buatsi, and definitely in recent years, he's blown hot or cold. Sometimes he looks good, other times not so good. He hasn't been shining recently, I don't think. Whereas this was a good, solid performance, where Joshua Buatsi showed his strengths. And yeah, he definitely had to work for the rounds. It wasn't easy. This fight wasn't an easy fight to score on a round by round basis. You definitely had to keep a close eye on the action, because both guys were having their success. But against Dan Azeez, who British, Commonwealth, European champion, he's a proven quantity, and he's a talented fighter on the come up. And Joshua Buatsi came out on top. He showed that he is a level above. And so, that being said, both guys, I think they still have bright futures. Even Dan Azeez in defeat, I think this is going to be the kind of defeat where he can look back and he's going to learn a lot of valuable lessons. So it's a defeat with plenty of opportunities to get better. I don't think it was the most damaging fight, although there were a lot of punches landed. Both guys, you could tell that they were familiar with each other, because they almost looked excited to get out for the next round. Obviously, both guys are extremely competitive, real competitors in boxing, but because of that familiarity, there wasn't much of a feeling out process. Both guys, they knew what they were in against, and they were looking forward to getting stuck in. And some of the exchanges, I'm telling you, man, from, I want to say, the third or fourth round, I think it was the fourth round, that's when the fight really it had a moment where it was like, oh wow, this could be a good one. And then kind of interspersed throughout, there were some good exchanges, some good action. There were a couple of knockdowns towards the end of the fight. I think it was round 11, 10 or 11, forgive me, I can't remember exactly. Dan Azeez was counted twice, he was knocked down twice. I feel bad, because the 2 knockdowns in the same round, so that was a 10-7 round. There clearly was some residual liquid, some water on the canvas, and with the logo and the signage, it was very slippery, because you could see that both guys were slipping. They'd plant their back foot and it would slide from underneath them. It happened to Buatsi as well as Azeez. And I thought that Dan Azeez was maybe a little bit unfortunate. However, even in his post-fight interview, he wasn't bitter about it, because he said, look, it's pretty standard in the rules. If you slip but a punch lands at the same time, you're likely to get a mandatory 8 count. And so Dan Azeez, very gracious in defeat, and to be expected. He's not a phony. He's a down to earth guy, not really interested in making excuses or trying to detract from the other guys' win. He gave Joshua Buatsi full credit, and he sucked it up like a man, and he's gonna trudge on forward. But in the moment, I was thinking, man, that's a shame, But it is what it is, as he said himself. It's just boxing. Joshua Buatsi, onwards and upwards. What is he going to go on to next? It seems as if Beterbiev versus Bivol is locked in for June 1st. So that ties up the 2 champions. Buatsi versus Yard. Hey, man, I'll take it. I think this fight should have happened years ago. Let's be real. But if it happens in 2024, hey man, bring it on. Um, Dan Azeez, he's going to have to rebuild, but if he still wants it, which I'm sure he does, I think he's going to learn a lot, and it's the kind of loss that will take him to the next level if he uses it the right way. So those are my thoughts on this one. As I say, check the fight out. Very engaging, entertaining watch, and I think it's fair to say it lived up to the hype. You know, domestic clash between two guys in the same stage of their careers. I was quite entertained by it. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you make of this? Do you think the right man won? I don't think there's going to be much controversy surrounding that. I think Buatsi was the clear winner, but hey, there's always room for debate, I suppose, in boxing, wild sport. But yeah, leave your thoughts down below and I'll get back to you. For now, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next video.